Good evening and welcome to the Expressions Digital Director's Cut featuring Celtic rock band Kilrush. I'm Andy Piak, broadcasting live from the WSKG Digital Studios, and over the next hour we will learn more about the band's recent episode, which was recorded on the road at the historic Hilltop Inn in Elmira, New York. I'll talk to members of the band, and we'll even show performances that we did not have time for on the broadcast episode. And we know Kilrush has a huge following, and we hope to hear from the Kilrush Army this hour. Feel free to use the chat box to ask the band a question, or just tell us your favorite Kilrush song or your favorite concert that you've attended through the years. All right, let's get started. Let's bring Kilrush to the Expressions Digital Director's Cut. Let's bring in Tim Sandfie, Chris Sherwood, Todd Allen, Abby Dolan, and Brian Casey. Welcome, everybody, to the program.
Hey, Andy.
Hey, Andy. Good. How y'all doing?
How's I have to ask, April must be a time of rest, I would imagine, for a Celtic band. I'm sure March and St. Patrick's Day was a very busy time for everyone. How is everyone held up?
Well, we're holding up pretty good, and generally, yes, because of all the St. Patrick's Day stuff behind us. But we do have Tartan Day coming up this week, so Brian's probably got his kilt on right now.
What day is that?
It's actually the 6th. So,
well, what does that celebrate?
Well, it's National Tartan Day. You basically celebrate the your family or town tartan that you're under representation for. So, there's Todd. He came back.
There I am.
All right, hey Todd. Todd is actually joining us from Nashville this evening. Todd, he told us he's sitting in with the Counting Crows for a few nights. So
yeah, they're doing a 3-night stint at the Ryman, and they called me up because in a pinch. So
well, you're the only bass player around, I'm sure. So
yeah, can't find a bass player in Nashville.
Never mind.
Well, let's start. Like Kilrush, I mean, the band has been around for over 2 decades, but let's just start with the name. It is like such a cool name. So tell us, how did the band become Kilrush?
You want to take that one on, Chris?
Sure. So the band's original name was Busker, and I can't think of everyone's names off the top of my head. But somewhere along the line, they decided to name it Kilrush after the ancestral home of one of the founding members of the band, Tim Madigan. And so that was it. They pretty much went with that, and we've been Kilrush ever since. A lot of the good names were already taken, so
How many members of the band have actually been to the town of Kilrush in Ireland?
Brian, have you?
Yep.
Did it meet your Well, Brian's actually, you've only been in the band for a couple of years. Did you visit before you joined the band or after?
I did before. Actually have a lot of good friends from Kilrush as well.
Well, there you go. Then it was only a matter of time before you you hooked up with these guys.
That's right.
Well, obviously, you guys play a very Celtic style, traditional style of music. Can you tell me like how the sound started for the band and how each of you kind of developed that sound?
Yeah, so when we first started out, we were strictly playing sessions in the area, whether we were going to be playing in like Ithaca or Elmira. We're playing a weekly session, which is a traditional like jam session for Irish musicians to get just to get familiar with the music and with one another. It's just like a real social event. And there was a point where, well, I was already playing a lot of solo acts on my own, doing other things. And each band member at the time was in their different folk groups and whatever. And we decided that we really had something going on with Irish music. Why don't we do it more than just the week of St. Patrick's Day? So we ended up developing the sound that you hear now, over the decades. But like initially, we realized that we need to have a sound that's not just on St. Patrick's Day. So we started to incorporate more of the folk and rock genre that you hear in our music now.
Oh, and there's the Kilrush logo that you guys have had for for pretty much the entire duration of the band, and yeah, just a very unique. How did this logo come about?
That was Tim. Isn't that something that Dirk found from the Book of Kells, right?
Yeah. So this is a Celtic wolf that's extinct now, but it was actually illustrated in the Book of Kells in this way. And an artist friend of Dirk Sears, who was our flute player, who was in the original Expressions Kilrush show, did this illustration for us, and it's been adapted by a few artists, but that's what's pretty much stuck over the years.
Well, I remember I talked to Tim and Chris recently for a podcast interview that got released, and you mentioned like how cool it is, like when you see that on a shirt, like you know what it represents, just because the logo has been so strong for a while now. So that's really cool. I'm assuming that if any fans want any merchandise with that logo, they could visit your website, I'm sure, correct?
Well, you can assume that, and we don't have a whole load of available merchandise at the moment, but yeah, it's definitely been something that's been a mainstay for a couple decades, and appeared on a lot of advertising and T-shirts and whatever, and even the occasional tattoo. So
that's right.
I was wondering if you were going to mention that.
Yeah. One of the fellows that's actually came to the Hilltop show has a tattoo of the exact tattoo of what you just threw up on the screen.
Well, I mean, there we go. I mean, I talk about a dedication to a local band. That is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, we've had some really great fans over the years. Obviously, have a lot of spirited fans, if we put it that way, and having a tattoo, that's even more than any of us have done. So, for sure. Well, you mentioned your first show back in 2010. I was hoping that we'd see some footage of that, but I always have so much going on. Unfortunately, we weren't able to load that in. But let's talk about that a little bit. And I believe Chris and Tim, you're the only two members that appeared in both versions of Expressions, correct?
Yeah.
And it kind of reflects on what's been going on with Kilrush over the years. We've gone through a few members to get to where we are now, and right now we have a really solid sound that we've been comfortable with, and share about the same level of dedication from each member. And it takes a lot to get a group. I mean, you can check with a lot of regional local groups. It takes a lot to keep them together, even on a short period of time. But for 2 decades, it's quite the feat. And sometimes it means changing members or sharing a different vision. And right now we're kind of all on the same track. So that's how we got to where we're at.
Well, it certainly has to be difficult when you're a regional band. You're all kind of living in different towns. You all have regular jobs too. I mean, we're under no illusion that this is providing. So yeah, it has to be. I do want to mention in that original Expressions, that was you and Chris Sharman, Daniel Folkers, Colin Carpenter, and Dirk Sears, your flute player. And if anyone wants to go back, they can go in the archives of the Expressions episodes, and you can look back at that 2010 performance. But yeah, let's talk about the show that we recorded this past September, and I think it was probably about a year ago when we kind of reconnected, Tim, and you mentioned you had a new lineup and you were looking to get back on the show. We had a new CEO, Natasha Thompson, who was hoping to record some programs outside of our studio to take the show on the road to our 21 county viewing area. And we were so fortunate to partner with the Hilltop Inn, which is located on Jerusalem Hill Road in Elmira, New York. It's only been open for business for 90 years, owned by Michael Sullivan. It's been in his family for 3 generations. And I just feel so fortuitous that, this is a place where you guys have played for a long time. I know you're one of your good friends, Pat Kane, has played there a long time. So I'm just so happy that we were able to record this show here at Hilltop. And I don't know if any of you guys want to talk about Hilltop and what it's meant to the band.
Sure. We've actually, we even discussed it before. the fact that this Mike and his family have been like a cornerstone for Irish music in the community and so supportive, it just becomes a meeting place for, you know, our area. And like you say, you have Pat Kane and the likes of a lot of other Irish regional local groups that make their way through there over the years. We've been playing there. Yeah, really, we go back a couple decades. We've played there a lot. St. Patrick's Days were you know, are a big deal. You've been there. You can't move around on St. Patrick's Day.
He did. Well, it is a funny story because the broadcast program premiered on Friday, March 22nd, and St. Patrick's Day this year was, you know, the Sunday prior to that.
Yep.
And, you know, I was talking to Mike and I'm like, you know, we want to come back and, you know, get what we call B-roll, where, you know, like the shots that you just saw where Mike was dancing and I'm like, we can just come up on a regular night. And Mike is like, you really need to come up on St. Patrick's Day. And I'm like, well, that's a little close. That's a little close to the deadline, Mike. But, you know, in my usual edit style, I edit to the last minute anyway. And boy, I was so happy that I went up there. You were able to see, you know, some of that footage. Like, yeah, I can't, right. If you are in the Elmira area, you know, call up right now and make a reservation for next St. Patrick's Day, because it'll be well worth it for sure.
Well, you got the sense then of why it's so part of the community. I mean, everybody meets there, you know, it's been that way for a long time, obviously.
Well, go ahead.
Oh no! So the cool thing about that, and I was just saying this to Mike recently, was the cool thing about Hilltop is it's a really laid back atmosphere, and it's nice, but you'll have such a variety of people there. So we'll show up and there will be you get a farmer and his family having dinner along, and next table over is a state senator having dinner, and everyone is just having a great. It's just an awesome place. Yeah.
Now he told us some stories, because obviously the Clemens Center is in Elmira and they get some national acts. He told us one the pretty funny story about the Smothers Brothers, like closing the place down one night after a performance at the Clemens Center. So yeah, I can't recommend enough. I believe we have a link to Hilltop's website that we could put in the chat. If you're in the Elmira area, definitely check out the Hilltop Inn. So let's talk about the recording, and maybe I'll talk to Brian and Todd and Abby, because Chris and Tim had, you know, they had been on Expressions before. What did they give you any, like, you know, like, hey, this is what's going to happen during the recording? and how and did that actually come about in, you know, when we actually recorded?
Odd.
You want to jump in?
Well, it was, we knew going in that this was going to be a different type of show than the last Expressions, which was in your studio. So, you know, this is going to be definitely, you know, a different animal than what they had seen before. So, and adding to that, the different lineup is going to be, you know, kind of just throw the old playbook out the window as far as what to expect and how it's going to go, and just kind of roll with it and do the best show we can do.
The thing is, we didn't really know what we were doing either. You know, that's the thing. We have a couple of pictures that, you know, that we could show, and, you know, like, obviously, and here we go. We recorded the film. This is what I do on these on the road recordings. I just stand around trying to look important. The real talent is the gentleman standing to the right of me. That's Adam Striley, one of our videographers, and this is our just top-notch audio engineer, Mike Micha. He's not actually playing Candy Crush. He's actually mastering and monitoring the audio on that iPad. It's crazy the way we're able to record audio now on the road. So all the mic cables go into like this black box, and then that signal goes out to the audio engineer's iPad. And every time I would look over at Mike, he's just dialing in. I'm like, how's everything going? He just gives me a thumbs up. And I mean, I think you guys, you know, we kind of worked with you a little bit on the mastering, but I think it sounded, you know, it ended up sounding great. So,
oh, it sure did.
So, I mean, whether he's playing Candy Crush or not, the audio sounded great. Great job by Mike. He also, Seth Nichols, you could see him in the background on one of those pictures, and just did a great job. Abby, what did you think of the, like, how did the recording go for you as opposed to the expectations?
Well, I thought it was a lot of fun. Like, I've never done something like that before, so it was new for me. But like all the guys are just so relaxed, and we just had a lot of fun with it.
That's great. Well, we tried to try to keep it as relaxed as possible, and we want to try to make it. I think the On the Road, we're trying to make it look, like you guys are just playing, one of your regular shows, and hopefully, hopefully we were able to do that.
That's not too far fetched. I mean, the production difference between the show we did back in 2010 and the one this past year, such a different experience. I recall back when we recorded the full band in the studio that we had to rehearse the entire show beforehand. We talked about this, how every angle of the camera and everything was like worked out beforehand. And you gave us the liberty for this show to just go ahead and make it like we're performing out.
It's funny, obviously your first show was recorded a long time ago. Obviously I was directing that show because I've been here for the entire duration of the series, but I forgot that we made you do that. Like I would have thought we would have you do that if it was a live show, but it wasn't, we didn't, it wasn't broadcast live.
Yeah.
But, we did record audio a bit differently back then.
Yeah.
So I wonder if maybe that might have had something to do with it, but looking back in hindsight, I apologize for making you guys play that whole set twice.
Well, I also recall you saying that this is the first time you guys really had a full band in the studio at the time for that kind of show.
Well, yeah, we had obviously we're gonna we got to talk about the fans a little bit down the line, but that show in 2010 that was probably one of the first times that we actually had a studio full of like actual fans of the band. Like that was early on in the run of the show, and a lot of times we would fill the audience by just paging staff members down for the concerts. So the fact that you were able to draw such a large audience, it really made that show pop.
Sweet.
But I think it's time to show our audience one of the songs that did not make the broadcast version of your On the Road performance, and we're going to show the Queen of Argyle. And I'd see we have some people watching us. So I'm going to ask our viewers a question. If anyone in our audience knows the original group that recorded this song, please post your answer in the chat. No Google searching, and we'll provide the answer when we get back. Here is the Queen of Argyle.
It is my duty to inform you of what duty. I ask you for a favor, you not sick for a while. I own she is a creature of character and feature. No words can paint the picture of the Queen of all Argyle. And if you could have been their voice, now you just have to see her. The swallows in her movement and the morning in her style. The roses of the garden, they but ask a pardon, for no one could match the beauty of the Queen of all Argyle. On the evening that I mentioned, I passed with light intention through a part of our dear country, known for its beauty and for its style. In a place of noble thinkers, of scholars and great drinkers, above them shone the splendor of the Queen of all Argyle. And if you could have seen her voice, now you just have to have been there. The swan was in her moment, the morning in her style, and all the roses of the garden, they bowed ask a pardon, but no one could match the beauty of the Queen of all Argyle. My lads, when he's must leave you, my intention not to grieve you. nor would I deceive you, but I'm a seeker for a while. I must find a way to claim her, to court her and to tame her, for I feel my heart's in danger of the queen of all Argyle. And if you could have seen a voice, now you just had to have been there. The swan was in a moment and the morning in style. The roses of the garden, they bowed to ask a pardon. Oh, one can match the beauty of the queen of all Argyle. And if you could have seen a voice, now you just have to been there. The swan was in a moment, the morning in a style. The roses of the garden, they bowed to ask a pardon. Well, not one could match the beauty of the queen of all Argyle. Not one could match the beauty of the queen of all Argyle.
Kilrush performing the Queen of Argyle here on the Expressions Digital Director's Cut. Now, I asked if anyone in the audience knows the original band. We had 0 comments. Let's bring Kilrush back on. Let's see if anyone from Kilrush actually knows the Scottish folk band that originally recorded that song.
I forgot already.
Silly Wizard.
Silly Wizard. Yes, Brian Casey for the Daily Double. That's right. And I have to admit, I was doing, I always do like these rudimentary, searches, about these songs so I could come up, with these silly comments. I'm like, Silly Wizard, like, is this an April Fool's joke? But no, it actually was, I guess, a very popular band back in Scotland back in the early 1980s. So.
Yep.
Silly
and
Wizard.
Brian only remembered it because he personally knows 3 of the people in the band, probably.
He probably stays with him when he visits in Ireland, right? So Todd, can you tell me before joining Kilrush, did you have a history with Celtic music, or were you or is this your first foray?
None whatsoever. I mean, you had mentioned Pat Kane earlier, and what I had known. And when I had first started playing with Tim and he was showing me some songs, there were a lot of songs that I did already know because I would go see Pat Kane at Horrigan's in Elmira when he would play there on Wednesday nights. So, that was a great time. It was, I already had an understanding of how much energy this type of music can bring if you have the right audience that you're playing for. So, I jumped at the chance to do something that was a little outside of what I, was used to. I had been playing in, rock bands and cover bands and things for, a couple decades before joining Kilrush. And I think it's been about 11 years and change since joining up. But, there was a lot to learn but it came quick. It came easy. It was, it's a lot of fun. It's not hard to see the allure.
Just looking at that last performance, you got Tim jumping around on stage, like the fans are getting into it. It is really fun music to listen to, and I love how Tim, like you guys have such there's some Kilrush fans, and they provided such a great backdrop, and it was great talking to to all your fans that night.
What's Bob have on his shirt? Oh, it's a shirt.
It's a shirt.
I don't know if we can identify any of the anyone who has the Kilrush tattoo. I don't know if they are.
That's him right there in the blue shirt.
Well, there we
Bob
go.
Right there.
Well, Bob, geez, Bob might have been. I think I was talking to Bob, and I think Bob told me that he had your original Expressions program on his DVR for like 15 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then I
There's my
think
whole family.
and then Spectrum don't know. I think he told me that his DVR, he lost his DVR, so
Oh
we
gosh,
have to,
no.
yeah, we have to get that original program back to him. But boy, it sure was fun, meeting all your fans, and they were just so kind and had a lot of great things to say about the program. Abby, let me talk to you. Did you play in Celtic rock bands before Kilrush?
So my background is mostly, I grew up playing classical music. And when I was in college, I got into playing like traditional Irish music. And I was in a couple traditional Irish music bands. And it was just one day we were hanging around playing a session and they just asked me to join the band. That's great.
And clearly you said yes because you're here right now.
Kind of how it happens.
Well, I mean, I'm sure everyone had played, the triple distilled Celtic rock, just a little bit before, joining Kilrush. I have to, it is really cool. You got Tim and Chris who have been in the band for close to 2 decades. You got Todd who's been in the band for like 10 years. Brian and Abby have only been in for a couple. Your drummer, Dave, has been in the band for how long?
He came close around the same time Todd did, I believe.
Yeah.
Is that right,
Okay.
Todd?
So you almost have
Yeah,
you
maybe.
almost have 3 generations of band members here. That's pretty cool.
There's
I never
probably
thought of
like 8 generations of Kilrush.
Well, and we should mention your drummer Dave also is very talented in his own right.
Yeah.
He owns his own music studio. I believe you told me he played in a punk band right before joining Kilrush. So a lot of talent on stage every time Kilrush takes the stage for sure.
Yeah, I mean, listening to that last tune, listening to the Queen of Argylle, and even thinking back the way the Silly Wizard does it. I mean, Kilrush, like Todd was saying, there's an energy that you can tap into with Celtic music. It's a traditional sounding song, right? But again, going back to our principle on how we make music is we start with a traditional sounding song and rock it up. We don't work the opposite direction. So it's nice to have this really rich traditional background. And that's one of the things that we really liked about both Brian and Abby, and why we wanted them part of what we're doing, is because they help keep us connected to the traditionals, the traditional Irish music. But both Chris, Todd, and I, we've had a variety of different things, influences just prior to playing with Kilrush. Although Brian, he has this great Irish background, but I think he's also been in a few rock bands and things of his own. You have to ask him. I saw a recent picture of him, and I'm like, "Whoa, that was Brian."
A few.
Well, geez, I wish I had talked to you beforehand, because I really want to bring this picture on screen now. Brian,
I'll send it to you.
Can you describe the picture?
There was peace and love involved or something.
Yeah. Long hair, red beard, red mustache.
Well, and obviously, if any Kilrush fan has a question to the band, if they want to know the history, or just tell us your favorite Kilrush song or your favorite spot where you've seen the band play, please post that in our chat. We would love to hear from you. But Tim, you mentioned that you play a lot of covers, but then you guys also have your own original songs that you play. Can you kind of tell me how you guys develop a set list? I believe the set list you played for the show was probably about half traditional covers and then half Kilrush originals.
Sure, we did want to make sure that we were introducing some of our own original tunes into that set list that night. But if you ask us how our set list goes on a nightly basis, it's basically whatever we feel like playing at the time, and it's surprisingly how smooth that actually happens sometimes. But what we how we were inspired to create and write our own music is again back to the same idea. We wanted to, there's so many Irish songs that so many bands play, and we have that in common with them, and it's cool. I mean, you go to a festival and you hear 3 or 4 versions of the same song. It's really great to hear some original tunes that do have that same Irish flair, the same tradition, like seeping through. And so that's basically where we put our concentration when we write new music. But we also have this style where we want to make sure that we're having it's a party, it's a good time, it's rock infused ideas, and that's where we that's basically where we stem from.
We do have one comment from a fan who says Lily's Ghost is his favorite song.
Yeah, my family's chiming in.
I wasn't going to mention that, Chris, but now that, now that the cat's out of the bag, it looks like it looks like Abby. I don't know if that's your sister or your mama. Streets of London, N17, Ride On, which made the broadcast version, and Lily's Ghost, which is actually you can hear that on the Kilrush podcast. And actually, Lily's Ghost, I think, is the only song that you performed in 2010, and then also
it's really that's kind of an interesting thing, because you can almost hear it in the original recording that I didn't quite figure out how I was gonna where that song was gonna go. Really, I was really kind of just developing it back then. I started writing Lily's Ghost after a trip to Kingston, Ontario, and the Lily Herkimer supposedly still haunts the Herkimer Mansion, which is now the Prince George Hotel, and so it's based on loosely based on a story that they tell in Kingston, and you can tell in the first recording that I wasn't really quite sure how it was going to go, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to bring it back into the second set, is so that we can hear the where it's come over the years. We've actually recorded that with several versions of that song over the years, and it depending on the musicians that are recording at the time, where that energy goes. And right now it's it's a fiddle driven kind of energy. And
I want to say the original version you were playing guitar, right? No,
I
am I
was
mistaken?
Yes, because I hadn't really shown everybody else how the song goes yet, and I was like, there were two. Actually, there's another song on that original recording that I don't think we've ever performed ever again. It was called "Godspeed the Plow." It was another song that I wrote, and we've never played it since. But I've had requests over and over to have that song recorded, and the reason for it is because it's based on the story of Samuel Morrison, who is the ancestor of a lot of Irish people apparently in the United States, and they just want this story retold. It's supposedly a true story. So if you go back and listen to that song, maybe we'll get to the recording studio and actually make it this year. We'll try that.
15 years later, revisiting tunes. Oh, that's great. Well, if anyone's favorite song out there is the Ellen Polka, then you're in luck, because that's the next extra song that we are going to show right now. So let's roll that, and then we'll be back to the band with more right after. What what a performance. Wow. Man. All right, boy, that seems like a real crowd favorite. And personally,
I'm out
it
of breath just watching it.
brought me back to my Let's Polka days here
Yeah,
at
sure.
WSKG. A program I produced for 10 years. I thought Bill Flynn was going to be behind my back shoulder, but wow, that was great.
Funny.
How long have you guys been playing that one?
Just this past year. Matter of fact. Yeah. That, I mean, and it's worthwhile actually talking about it a little bit. That's actually a tune that Donna Leahy and Natalie McMaster wrote and are performing. Which are a couple fiddle players that are a big influence on me, and I know Abby loves them as well. They're the style of Cape Breton and Canadian fiddle playing that has a rich, like, Scottish and Irish background to it. So it's definitely something that's in line with what we like to play.
Well, that surprises me that you've only played it for the year, because the crowd seems so into it. I thought maybe that was how you were closing your sets, for a while now. And that was supposed to be the actual, I think that was supposed to be the final song. Unfortunately, we did have one, we had one issue where we had to go back and re-record a song that was played after that. And I definitely appreciate you guys doing that, because after all the energy that it took to play that one, I'm sure no one wanted to redo another one, but that's the way it works. At least, you know what? At least we didn't make you play all the songs twice.
That's
the
true.
First time.
Start from scratch.
It was the longest song.
The song you made us redo.
The Devil Has My Backpack. Well, I don't know if anyone has been with us the whole hour. I put a little picture up in what we call the lounge video, the intro video, and it was me right next to Tim. And Tim, you had that look of surprise. I'm pretty sure that's when I told you, hey, we need to record that song again. So it was a look of horror and but it turned out great. And Devil Has My Backpack is what we ended the broadcast show with, and it turned out great. So
technically that song's a lot of work. So when you asked to do that, I'm like, are you kidding me?
I could tell, but I think it was well worth it. So I'm glad that that we ended.
Yeah, it turned out really good, actually.
Somebody mentioned, and it might have been your daughter Shannon. Somebody mentioned, look how happy Chris looks at the end of that, and I was like, well, because I nearly tripped and I caught myself.
Falling.
But and then the went through my head was, oh, thank God we don't have to do that a third time. So I was really happy to get that take. You can see the joy.
I think I don't think anyone on our crew wanted to listen to it a third time, and I think even your fans, I think even your fans were probably. But well, let's talk about some of your studio recordings. Obviously, you guys do a great job playing live, but I know you've also had a plethora of studio albums. But talking to Tim and Chris, I know you guys are really proud of your latest self-titled album. I don't know if you guys want to talk about that. There's the album cover.
Yeah,
well,
I think go ahead, Tim.
I was going to say, first of all, just looking at that picture, one of the cool things about that is that was actually taken from a couple of pictures of us playing at the Irish Week in New York. Maybe Brian wanted to speak on that one a little bit, but that was the end of the week. We had done a performance, and a local artist by the name of Maria Gobea drew that up for us. So I mean, she's an incredible artist. Obviously, she just was able to pick out. I mean, that's actually, I think, like 3 pictures. It's not all one capture. So so that was like that was really capturing what we had done. I guess the best way to introduce that album is it was something that we were putting together post-COVID, right? We had spent a lot of time. Actually, I don't think we saw Todd for almost a year. We were just isolated from each other for so much that we were doing a lot of telephone calls and let's meet on Sunday with Brian and Abby, and there was a lot of like putting things together that disjointedly. And when we started to put that album together, it's like, let's put together something that represents what we've been up to lately. And it is something we're really proud of. That album turned out really well.
With this one, what I love about it is some of this material, like N17, Streets of London. These are things that we've been performing for years with they're very well-known songs, but we put our own spin on them, but still keeping to the core and keeping we're doing it with respect, I guess is the best way to put it.
Mm-hmm.
So in a way, especially in contrast to the previous album, this was like a return to our roots. This was a return to the things that we had been doing for so long that we kind of got away from.
It was
and
a
we brought
conscious
that
thing we
around.
did. Yep.
Yeah, and it worked out beautifully. I love this album.
Very cool. We do have a link in our chat box if people want to learn more about it, and I'm sure there's a way where they can purchase it if they're interested. Well, we do have one more song I do want to mention. So like we decided to perform, to record at Hilltop, and, we talked to Mike Sullivan, and he's like, well, you guys could perform here, but you know what? I'm going to be open for my regular business.
Mm-hmm.
But we need to make sure, that we have enough, fans in the stands to see you perform. And I think like I was talking to you guys on a Friday, and I'm like, all right, we got to make sure that we have enough people. And I think by Monday, we had set up, some sort of a, ticket system. And I think Chris, I think he's like sent me an email. He's like, hey, how many tickets are left? And we sold it all out in a weekend, I think. I mean, but like everyone signed up. It was just it was so amazing, to have such a great response, from your fans. And you kind of mentioned your set lists earlier about how you kind of, don't always know what you're going to play. And that actually happened, during the recording in the middle of the show, like I'm looking at the set list, and then all of a sudden, like the song that was not on the set list is being played. I don't know if you guys want to, talk a little bit about how this came about. We're going to show you the song in a second, but
you're going to see it. It's Nancy. Nancy, we love her. She comes to quite a few of our regional local shows. She's a rocker from way back. This is somebody who was, you can find her on the cover of Life magazine for Woodstock. I'm serious. And she's been following us. We love her. And she's like, hey, how about my song? So she basically stopped the whole production of our show with you guys so that we can actually play for her. So that's what that's all about.
Well, let's show it to everyone right now. Here is the impromptu performance of Nancy Whiskey. Feel free to drink along at home. If you want to celebrate along with the band, let's roll it.
Well, I'm a weaver, a counting weaver, and I'm a rash roving blade. And I love silver in my pockets, and I follow the roving way. And it's whiskey, whiskey, oh Nancy, whiskey, and it's whiskey, whiskey, oh Nancy, oh. Whiskey, whiskey, oh Nancy, whiskey, 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 Nancy, Nancy, oh. As I rode out one early morning to quench my thirst, it was my need. I tried to rise, I was not able. Nancy whiskey had me by the knee, and it's whiskey, whiskey, oh Nancy whiskey, and then whiskey, whiskey, oh Nancy, oh. Whiskey, whiskey, oh Nancy whiskey, 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 oh. The more I kissed her, the more I loved her. The more I kissed her, the more she smiled. I soon forgot my mother's teaching. Well, Nancy whiskey had me beguiled. And it's whiskey, whiskey, oh Nancy whiskey. And it's whiskey, whiskey, oh Nancy, oh. Whiskey, whiskey, oh Nancy whiskey. Whiskey, 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 Nancy, oh. twice she ruined me. And it's whiskey, whiskey, oh Nancy, whiskey, and that's whiskey, whiskey, oh Nancy, oh. Whiskey, whiskey, oh Nancy, whiskey. Whiskey, whiskey, whiskey. One more time now! Whiskey, whiskey, oh Nancy, whiskey. Whiskey, whiskey, oh Nancy, oh. Whiskey, whiskey, oh Nancy, whiskey. Whiskey, 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 Nancy.
What a fantastic performance. Unreal. I love how happy everyone is. The band is happy. The fans are happy. Probably the only one not happy is my wife, because I've been singing that song at home for the last 2 weeks. But like, I can't wait. What do you guys think after seeing that? I just thought that was so fun to put together.
Again, it just speaks to the incredible energy that we get from the crowd. I mean, sometimes we're even surprised. We're like, what is coming back at us? It just blows us away.
We did get a question. Someone asked, what's your all-time favorite venue where you have played? Obviously, Hilltop Inn aside. But do you have?
So the answer I gave behind the scenes was, if we answer that, we're dead. My answer publicly would be anywhere that the beer is cold and free.
You're too politically correct.
Actually, I don't think it's even open anymore.
There are so many places, so many cool places to play for us. And once we decided that this was what we were going to do, it just like everything opened up. But we love playing festivals. And the reason we love playing festivals is because folks are there to hear what we do. It's kind of hard and difficult, like playing in a new town that has like, all right, let's hire, whatever band. You have to win a crowd over. And sometimes they're just sitting there like, not sure. And then you stop playing. And then like, again, like the energy you just heard with that song, they get us, So, but that's a little more difficult. It's harder for us. We love the festivals. We love playing that kind of, but at the same time, we treat every show like it's like we're playing in front of 30,000 people. I mean that, and that's no joke. And that actually lends to what is actually my favorite venue. And I know Chris knows where this is. It was a show that we did, Holy on the Hudson.
Oh yeah,
it happens to be one of my favorite shows of all time. And it was just that. It was just that it was an intimate show in front of thousands of people who liked us. Who from the second we were on to the second we were off, it was like huge energy, and that's why we love doing those festivals. And I don't know, we get even just playing some of these like St. Patrick's Day this year. I mean, people were just right there. The energy was so cool, and that wherever that's happened is where we want to play.
Well, we do have. Why don't you tell your audience? I know you do have some festivals coming up over the summer. If anyone is in the New York, upstate New York area, and you can check out Kilrush, I believe, at some local festivals.
Yep.
The Central New York Irish Festival, the Scottish Festival, and the Buffalo Irish Festival. So,
yeah, there's a few things right there. Chris, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, take 3 weeks off of work and just follow Kilrush around all these Irish festivals.
You won't regret it. Each one of those is different and unique in its own way. And every one of those, there is a crowd of people that we're looking forward to seeing. The Hammond Irish Festival, Scottish Festival, excuse me, is right up in the Thousand Islands, little town of Hammond, and the people there are amazing. They come and we have such a good time, and they do too. Central New York Irish Festival, we just did that for the first time last year. It's a beautiful venue. It's like this old farm, and it's just it's gorgeous. And then Buffalo Irish Festival is again, it's a great time. There's great lineups this year. The Elders, we're really excited to be showing up with those guys, among others, and each one is different, and each one is unique, and we're really excited to do those.
Anything else coming up for you guys? Any other plans? We have Daniel in the chat asking what's next for Kilrush.
But he's just looking for what's up for dinner. I mean,
Oh, okay.
no,
I'm like, I can't wait to find out what the sushi angle is on that. There's got to be a story.
You know what? Sometimes I don't even want to say what's on the chat. I don't want to, unleash an inside joke that I have no part of. But yes, Daniel
That's
is
pretty
wondering
much
if
it.
sushi is involved. So yeah, he's probably just wondering when we're gonna wrap up and we're gonna eat some dinner.
No, the question's legitimate. I mean, other than the sushi part, I mean, we do have the festivals that they were just talking about, but it's time for Kilrush again. We have 5 albums out. We're looking at maybe getting back and doing that again at the end of the year. It's making an album. Even today, it's a labor of love. It's a lot of energy, and that's something that we've been talking about doing again, because it's something we can leave behind, leave the folks who love what we do. So.
Well, I really hope that this program and the broadcast episode, I think telling the story of Hilltop, and then obviously showcasing the growth that Kilrush has come as a band. I think hopefully, will stand the test of time as well and become a great testament to the group. And
we appreciate all that you've done for us, man. The first show was awesome for us for years. I was working in the hospital and a patient would be like, "Do you hear this music?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" They're showing the WSKG show from 2010. I'm like, "You don't know who that guy is? Take a look."
Well, and that's the joy of public television too, is we still air that,
I know.
15 years later. So, if it fits in the time slot, you sign that contract, we can air that in perpetuity.
Well,
so
shout out to you guys for supporting us all these years. Shout out to Tina, who also helped make this happen for us a couple times.
That's right. Yeah, Tina Kugler, our old production coordinator here, a great friend for sure. So,
if I can just build off of that, if I came into this tonight with one thing on my mind, I really want to say is, and it builds off of what you guys were both just saying is, and I know Tim said this too. We grew up watching WSKG.
Yep.
As kids, so to be able to be a part of that, not once but twice, is not only an honor, but it also is something that we're going to be able to show our grandkids and so on, and it's going to be a part of that. So thank you from the bottom of our hearts for letting us be a part of that.
Well, thank you, Chris. I really, really appreciate that. And I can't tell you how thankful I am to have worked with you guys again. And it's been just a great experience all the way around. I want to thank Kilrush for the great broadcast episode and for joining me tonight. And I look forward to working with you all again in probably 2031 season 30 or season 31 of Expressions, maybe. So
we'll be there. Definitely.
We'll be around.
I'm sure our paths will cross again. You guys all have a great night and best of luck in the future.
Thank you, Andy. Thanks for everything.
Thank you.
Thanks, Andy.
And of course, a reminder that you can watch the broadcast version of the Kilrush episode by visiting wskg.org/expressions, and a link to the program is being provided in the chat box. And don't forget, if you are a member of WSKG, then you are more than likely eligible for WSKG Passport, which enables you to watch every episode across all 17 seasons of Expressions. So that means you can watch Kilrush's first episode whenever you want. So for more information about that, please visit wskg.org/donate. Okay, one more. If you enjoy listening to podcasts, then check out the Expressions Director's Cut podcast featuring Kilrush. That includes even more performances from that magical evening we recorded at the Hilltop Inn. I want to thank Alyssa Micha and Patrick Holmes for all their great behind-the-scenes help this evening, and we will be back soon with another great behind-the-scenes look of an Expressions episode. Until then, this is Andy Piak. Good night.
Funding for this program is provided in part by the New York State Education Department.